morning, everyone. So I'll be sharing with you some background on what is the support package for companies and what is the guidance and assistance available. Okay, so let me briefly go through the background of what we are going to share today. So we do note, the government do note that as a result of COVID-19, many businesses might have suffered disruption in volume and revenue, or may be experiencing business disruptions during this period. As a tripartite partners from MOM, SNAF, and NTUC, we always encourage employers to take a long-term view of their manpower needs while maintaining a strong Singaporean core while they are managing the challenges from COVID-19. So we always ask employers that when you face business disruptions or excess manpower, look to other options to retain your workers. Retrenchment should always be the last resort when you have assessed all other options and that they are not workable. To do so, this will help you to retain your workforce, and when the eventual recovery comes, the companies who have their workforce already with them and they are already trained, they will be well positioned to emerge faster in the recovery. So there are support and assistance available for employees who are affected by COVID-19. So firstly, from the Unity, Resilience, and most recently, the Solidarity budgets announced on Monday, we are providing support, direct support to employers to help them retain and pay workers. In particular, for the employees who are affected during the circuit breaker, the 4-week period, we have MOF has enhanced the job support scheme, including paying out the first payout in April instead of the earlier announced May. We are also providing a flat 75% GSS subsidy for April wages for all employers instead of just the most affected sectors. In addition, for employers of foreign workers, there will be also a foreign worker levy waive that is due in April will be waived. There will also be a once-off foreign worker levy rebate of $750. To help employers manage excess manpower during this period, we also have two forms of support to help employers. Firstly, we have updated the Tripartite Advisory on Managing Excess Manpower and Responsible Retrenchment. It provides employers on the possible range of cost-saving measures to help them walk off retrenchment and to help them keep their workforce with them during this period. In addition, we have also introduced a temporary scheme to help employers manage their manpower needs, which is managed by Singapore Business Federation, to give employers flexibility to manage their manpower needs during this period. So first, I will go through a bit of details on the enhanced support for employers during circuit breaker. So we would want to reiterate that the 4-week-long circuit breaker is essential to help preempt the local spread of COVID-19. We need to keep most of our workforce at home and minimize physical interactions during this period to reduce the risk of a big outbreak occurring. When everyone cooperates with these measures and the number of COVID-19 cases come down, some measures such as safe distancing can be gradually relaxed. If this does not happen and the situation continues to persist, then the circuit breaker might be extended and we will likely to see greater impact to our businesses and our livelihoods. So to help employers get through this period, we have provided enhanced wage support. So most recently on Monday, DPM Heng Swee Keat has announced a solidarity budget to provide additional wage support to save jobs and protect livelihoods. It also helps employers preserve their capacity and capabilities, such as retaining their workforce with them so that when they can resume their activities faster when the circuit breaker ends. So for local employees, we have enhanced the job support scheme. The wage subsidy for April 2020 wages will be raised to 75% for all sectors for the first 4,006 of gross wages paid. The first JSS payout will also be made in April instead of the earlier announcement. So this will also help employers make the salary due to workers for April 2020. For foreign workers, specifically the work permit and S-Pass holders, employers will also benefit from foreign worker levy waivers and a once-off rebate. So we are encouraging employers to tap on the enhanced support to continue paying their employees during this period. This wage support is to help employers reduce wage-related costs during this period. If you take care of your workers, then employers can also quickly resume your operations. So employers should first use the wage support from the foreign worker levy support and the enhanced JSS to continue paying your workers and refrain from putting them on no-pay leave or worse, retrenching them. employers should also be mindful that their employees will also have their own liabilities and livelihoods to take care of during this period. For employers in sectors who are more badly affected, we do note that they might have existing cost savings measures that they have implemented. So they should discuss and agree with the employees or unions on the work and salary arrangements during this period after taking into consideration the additional support that is provided. As DPM Hing has mentioned in Parliament, MOM and tripartite partners will monitor the situation into whether employers are indeed transferring the GSS payout that they're receiving to their employees. If we found any employers who make unreasonable adjustments to their employees during this period, we will take action against them, which may include curtailing their work-pass privileges. For employers, so the wage support is for the short-term immediate needs. We also have the tripartite advisory on managing excess manpower responsible retrenchment to help employers for the longer-term excess manpower situation. So in recognition of the challenges posed by the COVID-19, tripartite partners have updated the advisory earlier in March. It provides clearer guidance on measures to manage assessment power, including recategorizing and ordering the measures by severity of impact on employees, which is listed in Annex A of the tripartite advisory. There'll be a QR code later at the end of the presentation where employers can directly click to access the tripartite advisory. The key principles of the tripartite advisory remains valid, which is for employers to explore other cost-saving measures, including tapping on government support to train and upskill their employees during this period, such as SkillsFuture and Adapt and Go programs, which my SSG colleague will go into more details later. Employers can also implement flexible work schedule or time bank, such that they bank in the unworked hours during this period and then use it to offset additional OT hours that may be worked later on when things resume, subject to the requirements under the Employment Act. We have also required employers to notify MOM if the monthly salaries of the employees will be impacted during this in the implementation of the cost-cutting measures. So if you like, so the Annex A, as I shared, has provided an order of the cost-cutting measures in order of how they affect the employees. So for those without wage cuts, it includes training and skills upgrading of employees and redeployment of employees. For moderate wage cuts, it could include like part-time work, sharing of jobs, or other job arrangements on shorter work weeks or temporary layoff. There could also, in the eventual that this 1 and 2 are not impactful or not effective to help upcoming employer wages, they can consider direct adjustments to wages, such as adjusting the annual wage increment, variable bonus, or the AWS or MBC. At the last extreme, employers may also consider no pay leave as a final resort before they have to let go of their workers. For the notification of MOM on cost-saving measures, the intent is to ensure that employers adopt cost-saving measures responsibly, exercising care and fairness. We will be flexible where the salaries of foreign employees may temporarily fall below the respective salary criteria during this short-term period. Doing this also helps to prevent downstream salary disputes between the employers and employees. It also allows MOM to monitor the scope and scale of the measures that have been implemented and help us to determine whether more government interventions may be needed later on. So firstly, for the circuit breaker period, we have adjusted some of the key parameters. We will require the notifications only when the cost-saving measures results in the employee salary falling below 75% of the gross monthly wages for local employees or the 75% of the basic monthly wages for foreign employees. It remains mandatory for all companies registered in Singapore who fulfill the above criteria with at least 10 employees. The notification must be submitted within 1 week or 7 calendar days after implementation of the cost-saving measures. The notification process is user-friendly and is accessible on MOM website through CorpPass. So we are only asking 3 key questions of what is the type of cost-saving measures implemented, what is the start date or duration, and what is the extent it will be affecting the company employees. So these are the QR codes that companies can access to obtain more information on what I have shared earlier. Okay, that's the end of my presentation.
Yeah, thanks, Hui Jen, for providing the broad policy views on and all the various tripartite advisories. So what I intend to do is to share some of the possible support that WSG can help you with to manage some of those manpower challenges that you may face, right? So so first of all, probably to give an introduction of what WSG does. So in general, we work and help two groups of two main groups. One is of course the workers, and of course also to help our companies to transform, and also to help the workers become better workers. So with this, we can actually help enterprise with their manpower challenges, gain access to local job seekers, as well as also to help companies to redesign their jobs, build new capabilities. So I break my presentation into two parts. One is really on addressing some of the more immediate needs, and subsequently I'll also share about what you can do to prepare for the future when this situation recovers. So first of all, we have rolled out the SG United Jobs Initiative. We have introduced a few online portals where job seekers can go in to find jobs with immediate vacancies that can gain access to. Right, this is helpful during this period because we understand that while business is being disrupted, it's being disrupted in different ways. Right, some of the employers are actually facing manpower shortages, right, because of various issues such as a certain lockdown because you cannot gain access to foreign workers, and of course there will be individuals that will also have to manage excess manpower during this period, right? Maybe because the business are being impacted, they are not able to operate as per normal. So actually we created this portal so that for individuals who are currently impacted can also easily gain access to immediate vacancies they can consider during this period. Why this is important is because for companies who may be managing the excess manpower, actually we recommend that they hold on to the workers, continue to pay their salary, but maybe if they are only on short-term, you are only managing them in such a way that you are shortening the number of working hours or work week, or putting them on no pay leave, is to actually allow them to take on a second job and continue to gain meaningful salary and maintain their livelihood. So this is My Career Future. My Career Future, you should be quite familiar with it. It's a national jobs portal, and it provides predictive features to allow locals and to assist locals with job matching. So the locals can actually input the kind of skills that they have, and actually from the jobs portal will actually recommend recommended jobs for them. During this period, for companies who are in need of manpower, what they can do is to, when they put in the job posting, put the hashtag SG United Jobs in front of the job title, and then from there, job seekers who are currently looking for short-term jobs or immediate vacancies can just search for SG United Jobs on the My Career Future. We have also created SG United Virtual Career Fair. So now we cannot do physical career fair. So we have actually moved the career fair to the virtual space. So if you have any immediate vacancies, similarly go to SG United Jobs to actually include your vacancies inside. And for job seekers or for workers who are currently impacted by the COVID circuit breaker or a COVID situation, they can actually go to virtual career fair and easily look for jobs with immediate vacancies. So this is something that just now I've mentioned about to allow your affected workers with reduced work hours to take on second job arrangement. So we are working together with TACs. We are currently working out the process on how we can help companies to match with other companies who are looking for workers through this SG United Jobs Initiative, so that for impacted workers, you can allow them to go for take on a second job while you hold on to while you put them on reduced working hours. This will enable them to have continue to maintain their livelihood during this period. While we understand that this is uncertain times, we also have fresh graduates that will be graduating and entering the workforce. So WSG will be providing generous funding of 80% of the training allowance, so as to encourage companies during this time to actually continue to hire all these fresh graduates as trainees, right? There's no employment contract agreement, so you need not pay CPF during this period. And in fact, if your workplace is not in operation, employers can also adopt 100% virtual coaching and on-the-job training during this time, right? So we encourage companies to also think about the future, to take this opportunity to employ fresh graduates, give them traineeship funds, allowance, which WSG will co-fund at 80%. This will help you to secure this group of precious fresh graduates so that when the business recover in the future, you can secure employment of this group of trainees. So I've also prepared a set of decks to talk about how you can stay resilient and prepare for the future. A lot of times when we talk to employers, they will say, you know, when I have a lot of business, I don't have time to think about transformation, don't have time to think about the future. So actually this may be the right time for you to also start to think about how you can transform your job, transform the jobs and transform the business so that you're ready when the economy recovers. So the government have introduced the Unity and Resilience Solidarity Budget during this period. And as part of this package, there is three main support that the government is providing. One is the Enhanced Adapt and Grow Redeployment Program, or the Job Redesign Place and Train Program. We will offer up to 6 months of the salary support for every reskilled workers during this period. And our disbursement will be on a bi-monthly basis. This is for companies that looking into how they can relook at their job and transform the job so that they are ready for the future. Of course, just now we also talk about the Enhanced Job Support Scheme at 75% of the cash grant, and we also have the Wage Credit Scheme. So usually when I talk to employers, I'll tell them there's 3 things that they can do, right? So one is, of course, to leverage on the 75% cash grant that the government is offering during this period. Of course, when after April, it will go back to normal 20%, 25% and 50% of the salary after circuit breaker. This is to help employees to retain their local workforce and cope with possible wage increment. This is through the Job Support Scheme and Wage Credit Scheme. So this one for companies is, in a way, is automatic. As long as you pay CPF, pay the person's salary, you will get the cash grant. The other thing that we always recommend companies to do is also to go for training, right? So later SSG will provide more information about the absentee payroll and the cost fee support that we provide for structured ready to go training. So for this, if you hold on to the workers, pay the workers their salary and you send them for training, right? Because maybe they're on no pay leave or they are on shorter work week, they can gain up to 80% of the hourly basic salary and the cap of quite a generous cap, about $10 per hour for enhanced funding. Then just now we mentioned about the job redesign program. So the job redesign place and train program that WSG is currently administering. So for companies who are actually looking into redesigning their job, transforming the job of the workers during this period, we will fund 90% of the person's salary based on eligibility criteria and for up to 6 months. So this is how the job redesign placement program works, right? So for companies who are looking into using this time to actually look into their existing job, create higher value job, and commit to some job redesign outcome, WSG will fund the salary as per below, right? So 70% of the monthly salary, 2,000 per month, or enhanced rate of 90%, capped at 3,000 per month. Normally, we fund only 3 months of the salary, but during the COVID period, we have actually upped the support to 6 months. So this will be helpful for companies who would intend to look into how their jobs can be redesigned and put them through some form of retraining so that they can be ready to take on some of the enhanced and higher value jobs. So for company during this period, if they are also thinking about how they can transform their business, WSG have also introduced series of workshops that can help companies to think about how they can transform their business so they can be more ready for the future. So similarly, there are two types of programs that I will briefly introduce. There are more that we have. So we encourage that you maybe drop me an email or work with us to find out more about the various programs that are out there that can help you do that. So the first one that I want to introduce is the Service Industry Transformation Program. It includes a 2-day workshop conducted by SGPC. So now during circuit period, it will be done online. Subsequently, after the 2-day workshop, companies will, we will actually assign consultants to work with the company on a one-to-one project guidance period for over 4 months, right? So those are the fees applicable after WSG funding. So we also recommend that you can go for design thinking program. So through the design thinking program, you can think about think of new innovative ideas that can drive your business, right? Create new opportunities and creative solutioning for your business. So we have a program partner, SNAP, who actually offer the design thinking program. The format is somewhat similar. They will have a simple 2 to 3 days training phases. Then after that, 3 to 6 months type of mentoring phase where they actually can go down to the site to understand your business challenges and how you can actually transform some of the things that you do, some of the innovative solutions that you can implement. Recently, during COS, we also announced additional support for employers when they redesign their jobs. So you can get $10,000 credit to cover for 90% out of the pocket expenses for supportable enterprise development and workforce transformation program. This is under the SkillsFuture Enterprise Credit. We also support for job redesign under the PSG grant. So some of you probably are familiar with PSG grant. You can actually work with pre-approved job redesign consultants to make job more productive and attractive for employees, right? So that one, you can access up to 70% of the funding, capped at 30,000. These programs are not currently immediately ready yet, so look out for more information and during announcements on our website. So as we mentioned just now, during this period, it's also a good time to give an opportunity to fresh grads. It is actually also an opportunity to provide to meet career switchers as well. So under our professional conversion program, WSG will fund 90% of the individual's salary if you decide to give the mid-career switchers a chance to put them through training while you hire them. This is pretty attractive because WSG can fund 90% of the person's salary as well as the cost fee subsidy to the enterprise. There are 3 modes of how a professional conversion program can be conducted. One is, of course, through place and train, meaning enterprise hire a PMET, send them for industry-related training and take on the new jobs. We also have attach and train where they actually act as host company, train the PMETs for future job opportunities. So at that point in time, currently they're going through training, not directly employed by you yet, but you are hosting companies to allow them an opportunity to come to your workplace to train. We also have redeployment and job redesign reskilling, which just now I've shared briefly. So for this, enterprise is to look into existing workforce that could be vulnerable or have opportunity for job to be redesigned. We also provide the similar type of support for you to train and reskill your workers in your organization. So we have been getting good comments from our employers who have been participating in our our professional conversion program. So these are just 2 of our employers and workers who have benefited from the program. This is an example of how a professional conversion program will look like. So for a new hire, for example, that they're paid about 2,500 or so, they go for some form of classroom training plus structured on-the-job training. So structured on-the-job training now during this period can be done virtually. So for the companies can use this opportunity to hire this individual for maybe a total of 3 months or 6 months or so, help to equip them with the skills so that they are job ready after the training. And as indicated down there, the various funding support that WSG will provide during this period of training.
Morning, everybody. I'm Audrey from SkillsFuture Singapore. I'm from the Enterprise Engagement Office. As my 2 other colleagues, Wei Jian and Kenneth, have gone through some already policy decisions and and also set the stage for what the government is trying to do to help businesses to really save jobs, and also to help you rethink, or rather to reposition your business in a way that you can definitely take the opportunity to maybe rethink your business model as well as your people strategy, and to ensure that you're better prepared when things get better. So before I start my presentation, I just want to say that we received 2 questions in the Q&A section, and I will be addressing that throughout my presentation, or as part of my presentation. The first question is, how is SkillsFuture broadly helping companies in terms of training, aside from the enhanced absentee payroll as well as the cost fee funding? And the second one is about e-learning. I will cover these 2 in my presentation. So before I start, just a quick overview of who SkillsFuture is. We're a statutory board under the Ministry of Education, and our mission really is to enable everybody to be able to learn for life, pursue skills mastery, and develop fulfilling careers so that we can get a future-ready Singapore. And how are we helping businesses to stay ahead? Whether it's an upturn or a downturn, I think we will be very relevant to businesses. In this particular situation where everyone or rather businesses have really slowed down quite a bit, and people are worried about their jobs, businesses are worried about whether or not they can continue to run, and what would it mean by the end of this month. I think what Kenneth has earlier shared and what I'll be sharing will be quite relevant. We are very keen to help businesses to ensure that you remain competitive and you stay ahead of the game, okay, and you take the opportunity of this downtime and make full use of the time you have now to plan and to deliberately participate in activities that will benefit your business. So there are 3 ways we think we can support you. First is in refreshing your people strategy and recruiting the right talent for your business, so that when things get better, you can press ahead, and you can also press ahead for the future. The second is to equip your workforce with the right skill set to sustain your growth. And the third is to create workplace learning, so that you can actually build that DNA that will be very sustainable in the long run. So without further ado, the first part, I would like to share, and this was announced during budget this year, the SkillsFuture Enterprise Credit. So Kenneth had really touched on this during his presentation. This particular assistance aims to encourage employers to invest in enterprise and workforce transformation. Eligible enterprises will receive a one-off $10,000 credit, which they can use to offset 90% out-of-pocket expenses for 2 buckets of items. One, the enterprise transformation types of programs, which include Enterprise Singapore's EDG, the Enterprise Leadership for Transformation Program, as well as their Market Readiness Assistance, and the Productivity Solutions Grant. And they can also use up to $10,000 credit on workforce transformation programs. This includes programs supported by SkillsFuture Singapore as well as Workforce Singapore. Okay. How does this work? So for those who are more comfortable with numbers, basically what will happen is if you're tapping on, for example, the PSG, and if your solution costs $21,000, the out-of-pocket expense from you would be $9,000 because it's already pre-funded at 70%. You can then use your SkillsFuture Enterprise Credit, okay, to cover the remaining 90% out-of-pocket, which is up to $7,000, and your out-of-pocket cost would then be $2,000. Whereas for the workforce transformation, for example, if you are thinking of sending your workers for training, if training is already covered up to 90% cost fee funding because you're an SME or the individual is a mature worker, then your out-of-pocket actually would be only 10% of that of the remaining net cost fee that you have to pay, and that would work out to be $11.50. So no applications required. Eligible enterprises would be informed by the government that they are eligible for this SSEC. The scheme is already open, and claims must be submitted by 30th of June 2023. How do you know if you're eligible? Okay, first we'll contact you, but these are the eligibility criteria. Okay, you must have contributed at least 750 SEL over the qualifying period, and you must have employed at least 3 Singaporeans or PRs over the same period. So the 4 qualifying periods are listed below on in my slide. If you would like to find out more about how you can use the SFEC and the qualification criteria, please visit the website that's listed in my slide. If you're also taking this time to do a stock take and like really rethink your business strategy, and you want to get some inspiration on what other people are doing, or maybe find out more about what are the trends in the industry, what are some of the thought leaders thinking behind think tanks behind, you know, how businesses can transform themselves. There are various programs that are available. So there are programs that we have actually mounted together with PwC, Oxford, PwC, INSEAD. We also have the International Skills Talent Development Program to prepare businesses who actually want to internationalize, and maybe they don't have the right talent today. This would be maybe a 3-5-year plan, and today they really need to build up the skill set required for them to support their business in internationalization. They can also take part in an Enterprise Leadership for Transformation program that's under Enterprise Singapore. If you're looking to hire fresh Polytechnic or ITE graduates, there is also the work study programs. So work study programs are essentially a mix of work and study, meaning to say that there will be a classroom-based component within the program, and the individual will actually work part-time as well. So for the work study post-diploma program especially, there would be assistance grants of up to $15,000 to help companies put in place the right workplace learning infrastructure so that they can receive the interns. And there are about more than 100 of these programs available. As of 2019, you know that we have about 1,000 employers who have already participated in this program and hired graduates through this program. Okay. If you can't afford to send staff for training, we do have, or rather, if you're not sure what skill set to equip your workforce with, we actually do have free resources online for you to take a look. For those who are not familiar, we have a skills framework in 34 sectors, and you can actually use, so basically the skills framework is a very comprehensive document which informs businesses about the various jobs and occupations within their sector, and what are the skills and competencies that are required of these occupations. You can actually use these frameworks to benchmark the skills against your competitors, because we solicited inputs from industry that hire at least 50% of the local workforce, and we refresh this particular document at least once every 2 years. So it's very relevant and it's contextualized to Singapore. You can then say, for example, take a look and say, okay, today if I have a technician in employment, is this person actually skilled, and benchmark his skills to the rest of the industry? Are there any skills gaps? Then when I plan when the business plan their training plan, they don't just haphazardly send their workers for training. They're very deliberate, they're very strategic, and they know what kind of skill set they should equip their people with. So you can also chart career pathways and develop job descriptions if you're hiring, for example, or even on the job training plan. If now it's very difficult for you to maybe find training, you might want to actually consider developing your own workplace learning capabilities and do training in-house instead. So for those who would like a little bit more guidance, you can actually attend a one-day skills framework complimentary workshop, or you can look at the HR technology solutions that already have skills frameworks embedded in it, so you don't have to pick it up from scratch and you just get solutions off the shelf. If you're looking for, say, emerging skills, you can actually check out our My Skills Future website, which has a list of 20,000 courses you can explore. The Skills Future series is a package of courses that have courses 3 to 5 days courses offered by largely by our polytechnics and our universities in 8 emerging skills areas, including entrepreneurship, cybersecurity, urban solutions, data analytics, for example. So they're bite-sized and they range from basic to advanced. If you're looking to equip your people with digital skills and literacy, actually you can take a look at the Skills Future for Digital Workplace. So this is a 2-day workshop, $50 flat fee, inclusive of GST, and it's very interactive, and they'll teach you basic things about to equip them with the right digital literacy and confidence for them to be with you on your digitalization journey. And as for broad-based funding, we actually do have cost-free funding and absentee payroll to lower the cost of training for employers. So for SMEs, they will enjoy up to 90% cost-free funding, and for absentee payroll, that's up to $7.50 per hour. Okay, this is to offset the opportunity cost, and this is the baseline funding that we offer. In addition to the current baseline funding support we have, and in support of companies who are going through a rough time because of the COVID-19 pandemic, we will be providing a time-limited enhanced training support. So this is in the form of both absentee payroll as well as cost-free support. For for the absentee payroll funding, from 1st of May onwards, it will be raised to $10 per trainee hour across all sectors. And for course fee funding support, this will be raised to 90% course fee support, but only in 6 of the sectors that have been hard hit by the pandemic. So these include air transport, land transport, F&B, retail, land, arts and culture, and tourism. So for this, we have, these are the providers that we currently have onboarded to offer training that will offer the enhanced training support package. We will have more information on the various programs that are available posted on our website. So please give some time for us to bring the information across to you. We've also received concerns about whether or not face-to-face or in-person training will continue. So we released a statement recently to share that all CET classes supported by SkillsFuture will move online from 7th of April to 4th of May during this circuit breaker period. And only 3 types of courses are eligible for exemption, and training providers will need to seek SSG's approval to be exempted, which means exempted to be able to conduct face-to-face or in-person training. Now, these exemptions include training for sectors that are severely affected by COVID-19 and are supported under our enhanced training support package. The second is training that's urgently needed for essential roles to support the national COVID-19 efforts. And thirdly, training is part of a job placement program. We do also consider whether training, in-person training is necessary. For example, if it is a forklift driver assessment that there is no way we can conduct virtually, then we will need to make a decision and an exemption to allow that assessment to happen in person. So that's an example. And for all exemptions, they will need to seek SSG's approval. For in-person training, if it happens, then we will take the necessary social distancing measures to ensure public safety, public health is adhered to or rather protected. Okay, next I will talk about how you can change the learning culture in your workplace. So we have the Skills Future Advice sessions, which is a complimentary 60 to 90-minute session that we have partners briefing individuals on how they can actually make better use of their SkillsFuture credit. This advice workshop is actually available online now. So if you're keen, please check out our website and you can sign on directly through our webpage to get someone to maybe come down to your company premises and share a little bit more about the importance of lifelong learning, CET, and how they can actually use their SkillsFuture credit. If you are considering putting in place your own workplace learning infrastructure, you can also work with our partners at the National Centre of Excellence for Workplace Learning, NACE for short, and they can help you to develop on-the-job training blueprints, as well as develop coaching skills for workplace trainers, and also develop mentoring systems for your workplace. Okay, so I also like to share with everyone during this downturn, what are the things that you can potentially do to engage your employees as well as prepare your business for the upturn. Firstly, I think if your company at this moment is, or rather your workers are not very convinced or a little bit apprehensive about training, then you can consider the SkillsFuture advice session to start engaging them on this journey. Secondly, please take a look at the My SkillsFuture portal or even tap on the skills framework resources for you to deliberately plan your training development strategy. And consider tapping on our existing funding assistance ready, which includes the SSCCI, the existing course fee and absentee payroll funding, and working with NACE to really put in place the right workplace learning systems for yourself. So if you're looking at transforming your business model, then one other thing you might want to consider is to take a look at what are some thought leaders discussing about to devise a proper or a longer-term business and people strategy. So with that, I'll end my presentation. If you have any questions you would like to touch base with us to better understand how we can help the business, you can write to us at enterprise_engage@ssg.gov.sg.
Now, this session is talking about manpower issues. So I have responded to some of the questions. If it's not related to the manpower issues, we wouldn't be responding. So the questions like, what is the cost of doing a COVID test kit? Are we testing all the foreign employees? These kind of questions we wouldn't be answering. So let's stay focused on looking at manpower issues. All right. So I'm looking at the chat box now. That a lot of you are asking about the job support scheme. If you are the owners and you are micro SME, you are owners, you are directors, your employees are also owners because you give them shares. Do they qualify for the job support scheme? Based on what I know, the answer is no. Hui Chen, is it correct?
Yes, so actually on IRA's website on the job support scheme, there is a list of who are eligible for the job support scheme. So MOF policy has excluded certain types of business owners, such as sole proprietors. But we note the feedback and we will share this back with MOF on whether to extend it further or to provide some form of other support for sole proprietors. We also want to share that for those who are self-employed persons, if they meet the enhanced criteria for the SCCCI scheme, they can also apply for support under that scheme.
Okay, so for those who are sole proprietorship, Hui Chen, the question is, if I'm a sole proprietor, do I get the will I get both the SCCCI scheme and also the job support scheme?
So for job support scheme is automated computed. So long as the wages were paid and the CPF contributions were paid in terms of an employee for one company, the employer of that company would receive the job support scheme. For SCCCI, maybe we can check and get back if the company has a specific question or a specific scenario.
Yeah, so
and I'll let my other colleagues know.
More specifically, there's this question here. I'm a shareholder, director, and sole worker for my company. So this is more like the self-employed people. As I don't draw monthly salary, but get my income based on company's performance in terms of director fee at the end of the financial year. Where should I seek support as my business is seriously impacted by this COVID-19 and the 1 month circuit breaker?
Okay, so because the company don't have any employees, so it depends on how they registered their company as and in what capacity they are paying the CPF contributions for. So I think it might be easier if the person could write in to MOM or MOF on the specific queries, and we can advise accordingly for the case.
I think in this case, for this gentleman, you can seek help as a self-employed person. The SCCCI scheme should give you some relief for the time being. Okay. There's another question. Hi. In the same context, please also provide same extension for work-life grant, especially employers also have to work at home during this period. Benefits to employees should be extended to all CPF paying employee regardless of status. Think government should encourage and help people to carry on with business. Not easy to be entrepreneur. So I think this is the work-life grant. Whether those can be extended to owners.
So I think we need to go back to the original intent of the work-life grant, which is to encourage employers to give their employees more flexibility in their working arrangements, whether is it in time, so what we call flexi time, flexi load, and flexi space. So one reason why the enhanced work-life grant had specifically excluded business owners, directors, and shareholders, because we expect that these people already have much flexibility in their working arrangements, and hence we would not be providing additional support. But more for the employees with respect to the employees who normally might not have that level of flexibility.
Okay, so the answer is no support on the work-life grant for owners. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. Now this question is to WSG and SSG. What is the definition of SME? So we know what scheme we can qualify for.
WSG, we follow ESG's definition, right? So have minimum 30% shareholder, annual sales turnover not more than 100 million, or employment size not more than 200. So we actually are aligned with the ESG's definition.
This is the same for SSG.
Okay. Now we have questions relating to employers who have put the staff on 30% salary cut, and such employees are not happy, right? Because they felt that the employers are too fast in doing the salary cut. So the question is, as an employee who suffer this 30% salary cut, what is my recourse? What can I do?
We do have received queries and calls from some of these employees. So we would look into the facts of the case, because we do know that different companies have different circumstances. Some might be more badly affected, and there's a more urgent need to reduce their various costs. So especially, for example, in the aviation sector, we do see that they have essentially like a huge decline of businesses, and they are taking the lead to, or they have had to take some quite severe cost saving measures, such as reducing wages. So we also look at whether this is being done responsibly. For example, is management taking the lead in taking more deeper cuts or taking the cuts earlier? So if we do encounter companies who have not done so responsibly, we might take action such as suspending their work-pass privileges for a prolonged period of time. So even after the recovery, because you have cut wages irresponsibly without taking into consideration the job support, you might not be able to hire new work-pass holders after the situation resumes.
I think in a critical period like this, it's critical that the employers and employees build strong bonds and trust. There's a need for better communication. Employers need to be clear and explain the situation factually to the employees. Employees also need to understand and show that they are willing to fight with the employers. Without the employers and employees working hand in hand together to go through this COVID, it's very difficult, right? So I think the message, and I've written to some of you, the message is, please sit down with your employers, understand the predicament, and whether they will reinstate your pay after this COVID period. I think the right thing to do is, when you have these communications, build trust, it will help to save jobs, and together we will fight to go through this COVID. Okay.
Yeah, so I agree with Muntik that there should be clear communication. So as I shared earlier, so on the company side, we also encourage you to take if it's necessary for wage cut, then we will look to, for example, management to take deeper cuts or to start wage cuts earlier, because your lower wage employees may face more severe situations during this period. So we also hope that employers and employees work together during this period to get through the predicament that they may face.
Okay, now the short answer to this question: can we ask staff to take annual leave or unpaid leave during this 1 month circuit breaker period?
So this should only be for employees who are not able to telecommute at all or not able to do any work. And this is this should only be after the companies have factored in, done your sums that, okay, this is the GSS payout that I'm going to get. This is the various support I'm going to get my companies. Am I still able to pay the full salaries? If I'm not, then what can I do? Can I tap on the absentee payroll funding to send the employee for training and upskilling this period? So do that sums, go through all the options before deciding that, no, I really am able to cover the salaries after factoring all this. Then yes, talk to your employees and say, I may need you to clear some of your annual leave during this period. But this should only be the option after you have factored in all this support and all the other measures that may be available to you.
Okay, good, thanks. One more question. There are a lot of questions for MOM, so Hui Chen, I will have to post this to you. Okay, this one, with regards to foreign levy rebate of 750 per foreign worker for levies paid this year. How does it work? If I only hire the foreign worker in February and March this year and started paying the levy then, am I still eligible?
So the current criteria is that they must have paid some form of levies during this year. So my colleagues will be also putting up some of the FAQs on our MOM website soon to answer some of these questions by the companies.
Okay, all right. So look out for the MOM website. This question is this: my company is forcing us to sign a voluntary agreement to have pay cut, and telling us if we don't wish to sign, we need to resign. Is it the right way to do? Can we have alternative option?
So as Woon-Taek shared earlier, so for such companies, they should engage the employees and explain why is there a need for a pay cut. So yes, it could be voluntary, but of course we'll look at if the employees is forcing them to do so and they have not done so responsibly or have not looked into other measures to avoid this pay cut. If the employees do not agree to have the pay cut, then the employers can exercise contractual termination. But in that case, the employer is liable to pay the notice period and not forcing the employee to resign.
So the way this question is answered is not really voluntary, because if you don't sign, you have to resign, right? So I think this is where for the employer who are thinking of this, you need to go to MOM website, because there is many advisories there to guide you on how to deal with situations to reduce pay cut or to manage assessment power. And you really have no choice if you have to do retrenchment. How do you do responsible retrenchment? So please look at the MOM advisory website for guidance. Now, during this period, under the law, if you do any sort of pay cut, you need to do notification to MOM. You cannot keep quiet, right? Hui Chen, you want to explain the notification requirements imposed by the government?
So the notifications is meant to let us have a sense, okay, so we started out with wanting to know what are the cost-cutting measures that companies are imposing. Of course, we'll look at the data. If we see that companies, there's some indication that they're not doing it fairly, they're not doing it responsibly, then we'll engage, we'll work with TAPEP, the Tripartite Alliance for Fair and Progressive Employment Practices, to engage the companies to understand the situation behind why they are doing the cost-cutting measures. Is it being done in a responsible way? If there is some evidence to show that it is not being done fairly, not done responsibly, then it will be flagged out back to MOM and we will take enforcement action against these companies.
Okay. Now this question has to do with a professional conversion program. So I'm going to ask Kenneth to answer. Understand PCPs are role specific: professional, executive, digital, media, sales, etc. Does the re-employment of PCP apply for all job roles? If so, do I apply directly with the program manager for redeployment PCP?
No. So for redeployment PCP, it is a lot of the redeployment PCP are actually company specific. So for example, for the tourism sector, we have actually rolled out a few of the so-called redeployment job redesign place and train program. While we have a certain structure to how the program is being run, we actually work directly with the company to understand how the redeployment will be done. So that's for my sector. I'm also aware of some sectors that actually will go through a program partner to do that. So I think for that, you may have to write into WSG to inquire about the sector that is of interest to you, so that we can advise accordingly how to actually do the redeployment PCP. And what you have correctly pointed out is that may not be relevant for all job roles, may not be relevant for all sectors. So I suggest that you actually write into WSG to get more information.
Okay, now there are also questions relating to where do I seek help to do online content learning, and how do I, which agency do I approach on the available online content learning?
Maybe I can take. Yeah, maybe I can take this one.
Yeah.
So for SkillsFuture Singapore, we actually have about 180 free online courses already available on the myskillsfuture.sg page. This includes programs by Microsoft and Salesforce. On top of that, there are actually about 1,000 courses that are already conducted online by our MOOC providers. So MOOC providers include Udemy and Coursera. But if you are looking at, say, getting your own online program accredited and getting funding from us, you can actually go onto the Skills Connect page, and there are some steps on how you can get your program accredited and funded.
Okay, now this question relates to SME who needs to convert their employees to telecommuting. Where can they go to apply the grants to convert all their employees to telecommuting, covering the notebook cost, webcam, subscription to teleconference platforms like Zoom? Can anyone answer that?
I think they can actually approach Enterprise Singapore for this. I believe the Productivity Solutions Grant as well as the Enterprise Development Grant could be two grants that they can actually consider tapping on to lower the cost. Yeah. But I believe for COVID-19, I'm not sure what are the other initiatives in place for Enterprise Singapore, but I would advise maybe checking in with them as well as IMDA.
Yeah, it is correct. Enterprise Singapore will be able to give you guidance on how to defray some of these telecommuting costs that you have to incur upfront. While you're waiting for this, I think the other part that you need to talk to is some of the telcos are also helping out to facilitate SME to do telecommuting. Talk to your telco operators. Okay, and I believe many homes today do have the Wi-Fi and the fiber optics line laid. Just to let you understand, if you are using Zoom, it is free if you can make sure that you talk within 40 minutes. Okay, so there are actually many telecommuting tools available there that doesn't cost a lot of money. Go and check it out. You can start with some of this. Okay. Now, the question, all these questions are relating to MOM, and it's on foreign workers. Huh? If foreign workers pass their quarantine, can they be rehoused and stay in other areas and not in dormitories? Seems safer to put them in a rented premise than leaving them in dormitory. I think this one has to do with each of the employers. It's your choice, right? Whether you want to put them in dormitories or you want to put them in rented premise. So I think this is not so much that MOM can help. Each one of you have to do your sums, right? Okay, now there is one question relating to EP holders, employment pass holders. What kind of relief or support is the government giving to EP holders? Hui Chen, you want to answer that? Any specific support for EP holders?
So currently, I think the wage support is mainly targeted at the local workers and for employees of foreign workers, because we do acknowledge that most of them are not able to work from home. So for EP holders, I would say that most of them, because these are the qualified high professionals, most of them, except for very rare occupations, would be able to work from home. So for those who are working from home, they should be able to be paid their salaries as per normal.
Yeah, I have, my take is this, EP holders do play a critical part in our workforce. Many of these support schemes, although you are not directly benefiting from it, the whole idea of the support scheme is to actually help local businesses bring down their costs and help local businesses inject the necessary cash flow so that they can preserve as many jobs as possible. And if you are a EP holders that's doing critical functions, with those help, indirectly you benefited because your jobs will also be protected, right? Now this question is again on notification. Is it necessary to notify MOM for any salary reductions for locals? How about foreigners?
So the salary reductions apply for all workers so it's now based on how much is the salary reductions being affected, how much is the salary reductions will be. It doesn't differentiate between locals and foreigners. Okay,
all right, yeah. So as long as there's a salary deduction exercise going on, you have an obligations to do the notification. Okay.
Yes, but for the circuit breaker, we have revised the rules such that for those whose salaries will be affected during this period is those who have the salaries will be reduced to 75% or below their normal salaries.
Okay, now this one is if I send my staff for training and get absentee payroll, does the company also get the JSS plus absentee payroll as well?
So companies, as long as they send their workers for SkillsFuture supported training, they would receive the absentee payroll funding. Yeah, regardless. So sorry, can you clarify the JSS would mean?
The JSS is that means this company continue to pay the staff who goes for training.
Yes.
Okay. So will this company able to enjoy both the JSS, the job support scheme, plus the absentee payroll?
Yeah. So it's regardless whether they are actually tapping on the job support scheme, as long as they are paying the employee and the employee attends training during the work hours, they qualify for absentee payroll.
Yeah. So the answer is yes, because these are two different things. The wage support scheme, as long as you're paying your local employees on time and you submit your CPF on time, you will continue to enjoy the payout under the wage support scheme. The absentee payroll is a different thing. If you send some of this for training, approved training, they will also get the absentee payroll. Okay, so the idea here is to encourage more employer to identify the training needs, understand what are the relevant programs that can help you build capabilities, send your critical staff for this training, upgrade their skills, build capabilities, and when the recovery comes, you are ready to do well in the recovery. Now, there are questions relating to the definition of what is design, what is reskill, what is job redesign. Kenneth, you want to explain some of these concepts?
Yes, correct. Yeah, correct. So for job redesign, we are looking at at transforming your existing job, right? So for example, if let's say there's a retail assistant job existingly, he does very ops level type of job, do the basic cashiering and sales only. But as we move into online, you actually have to transform the person's job so that he can actually help to fulfill online e-commerce e-commerce purchase as well, or they do some form of digital marketing. It means that the person's job has been redesigned. Right? It's an existing job that you relook into the job scope and change it into a higher value job. So that's what we mean by job redesign. Reskill and job redesign, we kind of use it in the same way. That means if you redesign the job already, you reskill the person so that he can take on this new job. That's how we define. So it's not a posting. That means if let's say it's a current job that you have and you decide to move the person from one job to another job, that's just normal internal posting. Redesigning job, you need to look into an existing job that you have. how would this job change and be higher value, be more attractive to the workers. That's what we mean by redesign.
Okay. This question is relating to SkillsFuture. And the question is the mobility and travel tech startup with STB license. I am a shareholder plus director plus employee without salary, and the founders are not eligible to apply for any of the SkillsFuture or STB training grants. Trust the government respective statutory board will take note of it and make it flexible for startup founders to tap on to the training needs to upgrade and learn new skills during this downturn and without any business activities. So, Audrey, you want to give your views?
Yeah, I'm not entirely familiar with the SCCCI training grants, but for startups, you should be able to tap on our existing baseline course fee funding support already. If you are thinking of using your own SkillsFuture credit, you can also do so. But I believe you can actually go into our Skills Connect and already basically tap on our existing course fee funding support.
Okay, now this individual that asked this question, I saw your name yesterday at the 2 p.m. session with ESG, and Mr. Ted Tan, the Deputy CEO of ESG, has said that the ESG is actually looking at a support package for startup. So please look out for the announcement on the support package for startup. Okay. Now, there are a lot of repeat questions relating to directors, shareholders. We have already answered that. The MOM will take this to MOF to look at how to review those rules relating to owners, shareholders, directors who are not entitled to any support under the job support scheme. Okay. Okay, the questions relating to telecommuting, working from home, please look at ESG website or IMDA website. I think both website, IMDA and ESG, does have the grant scheme and the guidelines to help defray some of these costs. This one is a specific question to MOM. Would MOM look into certain monetary support for EP holders?
At this point, I think there are no plans to look into monetary support for EP holders, but as I shared earlier, most EP holders would be able to telecommute. So we are looking out, focusing our support for those who are not able to telecommute, and hence they might be affected in the regular salaries that they are receiving. Okay,
now this is a specific question on foreign worker levy waiver, which in this one is foreign worker levy waiver up to 90 days for foreign workers on overseas leave. May I know effective from which date? Is it 7 April 2020? For example, this worker went back for home leave in India on 28 February 2020. Is his levy waiver start from 28 February 2020 or 7 April 2020?
So this is actually an existing waiver that is already offered to employers. So there's information available on MOM website on how employers can apply for this levy waiver. So the 90 days, the 90 days is for within one calendar year, and we don't prescribe the period that they can apply for. And also to clarify, so the existing policy was for 60 days that normally, like even before COVID, if the foreign workers went back for overseas leave for up to a 60 days, went back for home leave, employers can get a levy waiver up to 60 days for the home leave period. So because of the COVID period, we have extended this levy waiver period for 90 days.
Okay.
So the period will be when the employee is away from Singapore.
Okay, yeah. Okay, so then this one is will long-term visitor pass holder workers. So those workers under long-term visitor pass be eligible for the $750 foreign workers levy refund.
So I think the 750 levy rebate applies to employees who are paying foreign worker levy, which is for work permit holders and S-pass holders.
Okay, so answer is no, right? It's actually for enterprise that are paying, the scheme actually is for enterprise who are paying this foreign workers levy. In order to help inject cash into the company, the government is giving this one-off $750 refund so that you can reduce your costs, right? Now let's go back to training. Training and development support and grants are mainly for local employees. Are there any support that company can tap on to develop their foreign workers during this COVID period? So this is training support for foreign workers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think our funding support still primarily focuses on our Singaporeans and our PRs. That doesn't mean that foreign workers cannot attend training. It's just that in terms of the cost fee and activity payroll, they will not receive the funding. So I would encourage that companies, when you're thinking about cost, to look at the full cost in totality, not just on individual worker basis, to see how much cost savings you can get if you send your comprehensive workforce for training.
Okay. Yeah. I believe we have responded to almost all the answers. There are many repeat ones. So in summary, if you have, if your questions are related to the job support scheme, there's a very useful website under IRAS. You go to www.iras.gov.sg. How you do the calculation, who qualifies, they are there. There are many questions that ask the ministries to review this rule for owners, shareholders, and directors. Those questions will be feedback to MOF for them to review this rule. Okay. On the online training support and the job opportunities, I think both Kenneth and Audrey has put together a very comprehensive slides which you can use to seek help if you need to go for either online training support or seek job opportunities. And thank you all for listening in on the manpower perspective.